Good evening, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host here, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is In Between the Lines, a little chalk talk. Myself and the one and only Mr. Scott Webb from Tampa, Florida, where some bad news coming out of camp. It's not the worst news like Gavin Lux that we'll talk to. But again, myself and Scotty trying to get everyone ready, get them into the mindset that baseball is coming, the WBC. I think Scott said March 7th, first game there. So we're going to give them insight there. Talk about the injuries, talk about what's going on in the cactus and the grapefruit leagues. Just get us in here a little, get the sunflower seeds going. Tuesday nights are at 7:15 and on Thursday nights at 9:00. And you are welcome to ask away. You can DM in here or follow me at EC Sports Investor, Scotty at Webby20MLB on the Twitter, or send us any emails at East Coast Sports Investors at gmail.com. Without further ado, let's bring him in, the one and only Mr. Beam Him Up, Scotty Webb. Good evening, sir.
How you doing tonight, Jeff? I got my what are these things called? The Bad Bunny shirts or whatever they are. I got my Bad Bunny shirt on today. I don't think it's a Bad Bunny shirt. I don't remember what these things are called. I don't know.
I want to apologize for the delay, and anyone here in Massachusetts, take note here. Okay. March 10th, there'll be 7 live apps launching: DraftKings, FanDuel, Barstools, Caesars, BetMGM, and 2 others, and then eventually 3 more. They're offering you quote-unquote free money, $5 deposit, get $200. They'll do $25 intervals or whatever they decide to do. Just beware. I had a little hiccup already on one of the sports books. Theirs auto-filled the wrong phone number, therefore I can't get in. And I very nicely called them and says, here's the story. She apologized, says there'll be a follow-up email and you have to get it back to us within 24 hours. Well, I says, if it's not done, I just won't do my business there. And she got all snotty with me. And it's just, if you're not comfortable with a company on the first day, it's like a first date. You can tell 15 minutes in. If you're not comfortable the first 15 minutes, why order the appetizer? Ask for the damn check. Anyway, Scotty, what's going on, brother?
Hey, man, it's Florida. It's 80 degrees every day. Well, you see it on TV now. You can see the games. It's nice out. Feels good. This is that weird time of year where you're watching stuff. You're trying to figure out what to do. You're trying to watch futures. You're trying to figure out when to pull the trigger on season wins and all that kind of stuff. But one thing I will tell you when you're trying to figure this stuff out this way, and especially this time of season, is don't get in a hurry. And I say that because things happen really fast. And it doesn't take a whole lot. And then some team's trajectory is just totally screwed up. And you just made a bet today, and then tomorrow XYZ falls down and gets hurt, and Aroldis Chapman fell down and broke his he fell down and did something. I don't remember what he did. And he knocked a tooth out. That's what happened. He knocked a tooth out. So he fell down, he knocked a tooth out. Joe Musgrove broke his toe. I'm like, what are you guys doing, for God's sakes? So, stuff happens, and all of a sudden, this big deal wager that you thought you just had a piece of cake on, could be a problem. And, like that down here, we have a pitcher made of glass, I guess. Well, I guess his name's Glass now, so maybe that makes sense.
And that's a great point. Tomorrow's March 1st, guys. So do the math. If you have a local sports book and you want your regular page to be able to fund your weekly activities, that's fine. But if you're going to do a sheet of futures, under overs, who wins the divisions, who wins the AL, the NL, who wins the World Series, who wins the home run, yada, yada. My point is, they don't grade those and pay those until October 1st. Okay, and it's probably even later than that. Maybe it goes into the first week of October. I don't know. I don't have the exact date. So your money's going to be tied up for, let me see, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 7 months. So just buyer beware there. And I keep staring at the Atlanta futures and they just blow my mind. And I just want to just go run to the window with bags of money. And I'm out of the 8, 3 and 15, I'm going to get a lot bigger price. But if they come out of the gate 15 and 3, I'm going to get a shorter price, Scotty.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's some of the stuff that you can do, right? Like, so some of the things that, I looked at, or one of the things that you should try to look at is how do teams start? What does it look like for them? And do they play competitive games? And, should they get off to a good start? Or are they going to get off to a bad start? And I think we were talking about this the last time, not necessarily on the show, but maybe behind the scenes. But some of these teams have a pretty easy way to go, and then others don't. You have a balanced schedule, so they're all going to play each other. But at the beginning, teams like the Dodgers, they're going to want to get off to a good start. And I think they're a team that opens up with the Diamondbacks and the Rockies. So there you go. That's a team. Those are two teams they just totally dominate. So maybe they can, stay afloat a little bit that way at the beginning, because I'm trying to decide whether this 96 win total that they have, is it some kind of dream or what? So I think, looking at their team and what they're capable of, they got 3 or 4 really good guys that on offense, and they got Julio Urias who can pitch, and they got Clayton Kershaw who can pitch, and then they got some question marks everywhere. That's a team that's relying on Max Muncy and some of these other guys to really get back to the form of, it's almost MVP like when Max Muncy was doing some special things. And is that really going to happen? I don't know. I talked on the show, I think the last time, one of the things that I said was, you got to have RBI guys. You need 100 RBI guys. They're driving 100 runs. So here's what I did. And I don't know if I got it in front of me right now. I can do it real quick if I don't. I looked this up, and what I thought was really a pretty cool thing is go here. That's the Cubs. Yeah, that was the Angels. Oh, there's the Twins. What am I doing? Let's go to here. We're going to go all teams, and these are just projections, so it's not like this is the craziest thing in the world. And if I go down to, let's just go down to 97 RBIs, just for 97. There's only 14 guys that are projected to have 97 RBIs. Now listen to what teams they play for, and then think to yourself, are this a playoff team or not? So first one, New York Yankees. Second one, New York Mets, Houston Astros, Atlanta Braves, Toronto Blue Jays, Boston Red Sox, St. Louis Cardinals, Cleveland Guardians, San Diego Padres, LA Dodgers, St. Louis Cardinals. How many teams did you hear in there that weren't? Huh?
How do you have the Red Sox up there?
Rafael Devers.
Okay.
He's projected to have 105 RBIs.
Okay.
So you have all of those teams, and then the 14th guy is Mike Trout, 97 at the Angels. How many of those teams did we just rattle off that aren't going to make the playoffs?
I know one at least.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Maybe one.
The Red Sox are not making the playoffs.
Yankees, yes, probably right. Mets, yes, probably right.
Yeah.
Astros, yes, probably right. Braves, yes, probably right. Blue Jays, yes, probably right. Cardinals, yes, probably right. Guardians, well, they're favored to get there, so yes, probably right. Padres, yes, probably right. And then another Cardinals guy, and then the then the Angels. They got a couple in there twice. Then the Cardinals got a couple guys in there. So it's critically important to understand how valuable some of these guys are. So, what happens to the White Sox, for example, because they lost Abreu? He's a 100 RBI guy almost every year. Now he's not there. So, who's going to fill that role? So, think about those things when you're doing your season win totals. And I know everybody likes to do certain things, and don't everybody shoot me, but I this fatuation everybody has with the Cubs is, oh my God, driving me crazy. So the Cubs, right? So the Cubs, and let me pull them up for just a second because I got them right here. Cubs, where did you go? They're there. So the Cubs, they have, of all the teams in baseball that you look at for projections, and we went over those tiers. Remember, Jeff, we went over tiers the other day, and we were talking about the tiers of the teams and kind of where the offenses were and all that stuff. And the Cubs are in the not the one all by themselves like Cincinnati, and they're in the next tier above that. That's it. They're in the same tier with the Miami Marlins, the Diamondbacks, the Royals, and the Pirates. That's where the Cubs are. But the worst thing about the Cubs is they have one guy. They have one guy that's slated to be over in double digits in offensive WAR, and that's Seiya Suzuki, and he just got hurt. Now, that doesn't mean he's not going to play, and that doesn't mean he's even going to miss any games. He's got a hamstring issue, so and I don't know how they always say this. No, that's not a hamstring, was it? It was a hamstring. Anyway, and it's moderate. Well, what the hell does that mean? It's neither grade 2, grade 1, grade whatever. It's moderate. Anyhow, my concern with some of this stuff is their RBI leader is supposed to be Dansby Swanson with 80 out of the second hole. He's supposed to bat second for them. So I sit there and I think to myself, okay, well, how's that going to work out? And they're all those guys that everybody talks about is coming to them that makes them better. We talked about that before, right? So you have Dansby Swanson, right? Okay, maybe he makes them better, but he batted, 8th or whatever for the Braves, maybe 7th, 8th, sometimes he batted lower in the lineup. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I mean, he's a bad player. I'm just saying that he's not like this. He's not like Simon Correa. He's not that guy. So then you got Ian Happ. Okay. So if you put Ian Happ on just put him on the team like the Cardinals. Can he play on that team? Where would he play? He wouldn't play in the outfield because they got outfielders better than him. So what team is Ian Happ going to play for that's in a competitive situation? And, he's supposed to have a decent season, but, he's a 244 batter. His weighted runs created plus is 113. That means he's 13% better than average. That's not even all-star level type of player. That's a good player, but not an all-star level player. And you need stars to play in this league, right? So Seiya Suzuki is supposed to be their best player. 131 is his weighted runs created plus. That's pretty good. That's kind of all-star like. So he's their best offensive player by far, and he didn't really do that last season. So maybe this season he kind of turns that around. And then you bring in then this is where everybody says they're better. Okay, well, they bring in Cody Bellinger. Well, do you remember what Cody Bellinger batted last year? I mean, he's fighting the Mendoza line. And I get it. He's a young kid. He's a former MVP, all of that stuff. I get all of that stuff. But if you remember what happened, if you remember football in the NFL, hey, Marty Lowe, this could be a guy that's kind of like Carson Wentz, Jeff. So Carson Wentz goes out, and he's kind of like an MVP guy, gets hurt, and then goes and makes all this money and signs on with all these other teams. And now he can't even he's never going to start again. And theoretically, he doesn't really fit a lot of places as a backup role. So what is Cody Bellinger? What do you get with Cody Bellinger? So I think, what you're running into is with Bellinger, he's predicted to bat 226 for the Cubs. 226. 63 RBIs, 19 home runs. He's a negative 0.2 offensive WAR player. That's not very good. And that's what everybody's banking on. They're banking on Cody Bellinger coming over there, Trey Mancini coming over there, Eric Hosmer coming over there. Guys, these are cast-offs from other teams. Cast-offs. And that's what worries me about the Red Sox. You know, they picked up some cast-offs too. So how do these guys really then go out and say they're better? Well, they go, well, their pitching's better. Well, why is their pitching better? Because if I switch it over to the pitching side, you're going to tell me that the reason that the pitching's better is because they got Jameson Taillon. Look, I like Jameson Taillon. I don't like him on this team. I mean, you got Marcus Stroman as an ace on this team. Now, in 2017, he was the MVP for Team USA, and he had probably his best he's ever done. But this is Marcus Stroman, who can give you competitive innings. But if you're gonna, hey Marty, I'll get that question for you 1 second. But if you get to a point here where you're talking about Marcus Stroman being competitive against guys like Scherzer and the pitchers on the Mets and the pitcher, Wheeler and Nola, there's no way. If you put him in, even in his own division, he doesn't compete against the Brewers tops or the Cardinals tops. So I think then you got to go. You go Stroman, Taillon, Steele. Okay, Kyle Hendricks. I just read something today. Kyle Hendricks, when he comes back from the surgeries, he's not going to look the same. He changed his motion. He changed his stuff. The ball's going to move different. So who knows what's going to happen with that guy? That guy may never be any good again, or he might be, whatever. And then they got Wisniewski and Assad and Jeff. Please, and I get it. A lot of this stuff can be line driven in what people see in the odds in the markets. I don't see the Cubs as being better than they were last year. Theoretically, their players might have better names that you've heard of, but the reality is I don't think they win any more games than they did a year ago. So where's my numbers at over here? So the Cubs are sitting here at Fangraphs has them at 75 wins. Baseball Prospectus has them at 76 wins, and Circa was at 78 season total. Last year, if you look at the base runs model, they should have won 73. I don't see anything that tells me they're going to win more than 78 games. So my number on the Cubs is 76. I don't think that's a bad number. I think that's a reasonable number. But and at the same time, I think that puts them basically kind of like what they did a year ago. But I don't see them being better. They have guys you've heard of, but they're all cast offs from being no good. So you tell me, what do you think?
No, my point only on the Twitter tweet was myself reading the market, and the Cardinals should be the favorite. The Brewers are the second favorite. You're getting plus 150 or 60 on the Brewers. You're minus whatever 140 on the Cardinals. And then you look at the rest of that division, and the number on the Cubs was plus 650. Now, I know how to read the market. That number should be plus 1,000. That number should be plus 1,200, something in that. And it just stuck out like a sore thumb. That was
I get it.
And
yeah.
Last year at the Bellagio, when everyone's coming up to me, and when they saw me at the Bellagio, and they were printing money because the Brewers couldn't lose the division, and I was sitting there printing money with my Cardinals plus money. I'm like, no, keep feeding it. And again, the value this year in that division obviously is the Brewers, and if their pitching staff is healthy, does Yelich bounce back? Did their offense click up a tick? That was all. Not me touting the Cubs at all. Just that it stuck out like a sore thumb.
I didn't mean it that way. I just meant it that I don't know what I'm missing because I don't see it. I mean, I see people all the time. They're going to be better. Marty, to answer your question about the Cubs and their catcher, they have a platoon situation there. They have Yan Gomes. He's going to be the right-handed hitter, and then they got Tucker Barnhart from the Reds. So he's going to be the platoon left-handed side. So that'll be the guys that replace Contreras there. So I don't, again, Contreras was, one of their better superstars, and he's gone. So you're going to replace him with Yan Gomes and Tucker Barnhart. So I don't think you have a team here that's going to go out here and win 80 games. That's what you're asking them to do. You're asking them to go be 500 and win 80 games and be better than 78 wins. And, I don't see it on the pitching staff. I don't see the bullpen being that way. I don't see any of it, So anyway, and then Marty asked another question because, we were getting ready to talk about injuries there, and I kind of went off on a tangent on the Cubs thing. But Gavin Lux, the new shortstop, or the guy who's going to be shortstop for the Dodgers, young kid, yesterday was coming into third base and blew out his right knee, and he is now done for the season because it's an MCL tear and they're going to have to repair it. So his question is Miguel Rojas a good fill-in for the Dodgers? And here's the way I understand that situation to be with the Dodgers. So prior to this, just recently, not too long ago, why am I there? That's the right one. So I'm trying to find where it was, and yes, I think Miguel Rojas is going to be the guy that is the everyday shortstop. They got him from the Marlins. I'm pretty sure that's where they got him from. Let me look. 2-year contract, shortstop. They might not even have him in yet. From Miami. They got him in a trade. So yes, they just got him. He's 34. He's a veteran kind of guy. He's not much of an offensive player. But to be honest, when I was pulling up Gavin Lux's numbers and kind of looking at what they're going to miss, he was a plus defender, and he's a good, I shouldn't say good. He's a plus hitter, not a double-digit offensive WAR guy. So he's not the guy that's going to drive the offense through. That's Trey Turner. Trey Turner was that guy. He had to replace that guy, and he's not that guy to replace him. But so Miguel Rojas is going to be that defensive good shortstop that can hit a little bit, if that makes any sense. I know I said defensive, but that's his big thing. He's a big defender. He's going to be. It kind of sounds silly, but he's almost the oldest guy on the starting 9. JD Martinez is 35. And, if you got David Peralta starting for the Dodgers in the outfield, there's a problem. The Dodgers are better than having David Peralta start out there. And I get it. He's the left-handed guy who's going to start in the outfield. But they got Jason Hayward to back him up. Are you kidding me? Jeff, what is going on with that team? How can you sit here and have 96 wins projected for a lineup? Now, granted, the top 3 are really good. I mean, the top 3 are really good. You got Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Will Smith. Those guys are as good as you can get in a lot of cases. And then they're going to have Max Muncy and JD Martinez, just play out of their bazonkas. And then you got David Peralta, Trace Thompson, Miguel Vargas, and Miguel Rojas. Okay. That's no good. And then on the mound, you got Julio Urias, Clayton Kershaw, Tony Gonsolin, Noah Syndergaard, and Dustin May. When you used to go play the Dodgers, you used to fear their pitchers because they were so good, and you couldn't hit the ball and all that stuff. So I don't, I think that that's just kind of a weird thing there. And Marty, to answer your question about Vargas playing third base, the answer to that question is no. I don't think he's going to play third base. I think he's going to play second base. I think Max Muncy is going to play third base. So the way I understand it is that they don't want Max Muncy to play second base because now they can't hide him there. The shift created a spot for second baseman who couldn't move to actually be hidden because you had to play the third baseman or the shortstop in short right field. So the second baseman didn't hardly have to move much. So now they want to move Max Muncy to third base and put the young kid Vargas over at second base. Is the way I understand how they're going to do that. So the way the lineup should look, it should be first base should be Freddie Freeman, second base should be Vargas, shortstop will be the other kid we just talked about him, Rojas, and all these Vargas and Rojas's, and then third base is Max Muncy, and then here's their outfield, Jeff. Left field, David Peralta. Center field, Trace Thompson. Right field, Mookie Betts. This is the Dodgers. I mean, this is the Dodgers, and they're going to have that kind of lineup out there. Oh, my God. Now, they have guys coming. They always have guys coming. But, you know, it's a matter of can Dustin May be just a superstar? Chris Taylor's going to be kind of a platoon guy. He's an infield, outfield platoon guy. So he's 33 years old now. So I don't, you know, he's getting up there where, you know, it's time. That was the whole idea of these guys was to go younger because that's, you know, Big Red's now gone. And, you know, he was a big cog for them at third base. And now he's gone over to the Red Sox. So as he moves on, he was 38. So he moves on. Bellinger was young. So, I mean, you know, Bellinger's still young. And then now you're going to their whole plan this year was to turn it over to the young kids and see what they can do. I guess when you're the Dodgers and you got money and you can do kind of whatever you want to, if that plan fails, you can always fall back on another plan where you can go spend some money and get some people. It's kind of the way I think about it. And I don't know if you're going to, you know, the Padres are really good. Fernando Tatis Jr. played today, Jeff. Did you know that? I mean, this is his first live game action today. He played. He was 0 for 2. He got a walk, stole second base. So they let him go. I mean, they let him run. You know, he's going to DH, I guess, for a while. So whatever. And then he's going to sit for April 20th is when he's allowed to play. But they, you know, hey, you know, losing Joe Musgrove is a bad deal for them. Now, he's not gone for an extreme amount of time. He broke his big toe. I think he dropped something on his foot. What happened? You know, he's walking around the house or whatever, dropped something on his foot, broke his toe. So they said he's got to quit pitching for about 2 weeks, and then he can start pitching again. So, you know, he's out for a month probably. So I don't know what that looks like for him at the beginning, but, you know, you got some pitchers still out there that can pitch. And, you know, I think that Clevenger deal that they got, you know, when they got him over from Cleveland, it hasn't been any good since he came back from his surgery and stuff. And now the White Sox have him. And I don't, you know, he's going through all that personal problem stuff. I don't know if he's even going to get to pitch. Who knows? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But I one time in Cleveland, he was pretty good. And ever since he left Cleveland, he's not been good at all. Maybe there's something in the air there where, you know, you go to Cleveland and you're pretty good. Because if you want to, we can make a really good case for the Twins pitchers. I think it'll be great.
Well, it's called Tito Francona is why when you go to Cleveland, you become a good player and you force. If not, Tito doesn't play you. Marty goes, Jeff, what's the word on Trevor's story? It's very simple. Okay. He is stealing money. He chose to wait for surgery, and they hope he's back late in the season. I will tell you this very nicely. He won't be back this year because by the time it's time for him to come back, the Sox will be so far back, they're just going to shut him down to next year. And they should have kept Bogarts. Well, when they signed Story, that was their insurance clause. They were only going to sign or re-sign Xander Bogarts on a friendly deal that would help them try to insure up Devers. So what they did basically is when the market got as big as it did on Xander Bogaerts, they knew they had to focus on Devers, and at least, unlike Mookie, unlike Xander and a couple other people, they left for greener pasture, and at least we have Devers and we can move on, and they save some kind of face there. They do not have the team to compete with the Yankees. They don't have the team to compete with the Jays. And if Glasnow was healthy with McClanahan, they didn't have the team on paper to compete with Mr. Franco, Mr. Randy, and the rest of the Rays as well. We'll be battling with Baltimore for the cellar dweller again. And I would say this time next year, there's a good possibility Mr. will not be here. That's just my 2 cents there. I don't have any inside scoop on that. But when you got to rest your laurels on Chris Sale, who's over his 6.5 wins this year, Evaldi's gone. They're going to try Whitlock in the starting rotation. Paxton, first year back in 3 years, Scott? Supposedly, Cora says he's looked good, but again, what are you going to get from him? Walker left the building.
Hey, listen, man. If you've never seen him pitch live, that guy looks good because he throws hard and he's 8 foot tall. I mean, he's a guy that goes out there and you look at him and you go, oh my God, who's going to hit this guy? And then all of a sudden he has those games where you can't hit him. And then his arm falls off and you can hit him every which way that you can go. But Paxton, looking kind of at his numbers, in 2019, he made 29 starts for the New York Yankees. In 2020, he made 5 starts. 2021, 1 start. 2022, 0 starts. He's really not been doing anything since 2019. And I really liked the guy because I thought he was a guy that was in Seattle that was kind of getting lost out there. And then they brought him over to the Yankees. And, he was the 1 year he pitched for the Yankees that he had 29 starts. He was 15-6. That's pretty good, but he still only threw 150 innings. He's another guy that only goes so long in these games because they pull him out because his pitch count gets so damn high. He's had a history of walking guys, strikes guys out, but he's had a real problem with walks. Here's an interesting number. He has in that year of 2019 when he was really good. He had 11.11 strikeouts per 9 innings as a starting pitcher. That's really good. That's a big number. But his walks to strikeout number, 3.29. So that's a lot of walks to have because he's got so many damn strikeouts and he's still getting 3 walks per 9 innings. I mean, are you kidding me? So that's just a lot of base runners that way. And whatever, it is what it is. I hope the best for him because I always thought he was a good pitcher, but at this point he's going to be 34 and hasn't thrown more than 150 innings since 2019, and the most he's ever thrown was 2018, 160. So I don't know if can he throw 100 innings for the Boston Red Sox?
No,
I don't know the answer to that question. I think that's I don't know that he can, and then you look at who else the Red Sox are looking at, and they're looking at Corey Kluber. Corey Kluber now I think he's projected to throw 155 innings, and Chris Sale's projected to throw 140. They got Paxton at 130, so I don't know if he can throw that many innings or not. I don't know. I think it should be more around 100. And Whitlock at 150 innings. They got Bello at 110 innings. So, and then Houck could pick up some like 80 innings. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't. I heard Go ahead.
No, you look at last year. They lost Evaldi, they lost Rich Hill, and they lost Walker. I mean, and as much as you want to say about Rich Hill, I mean, he ate up innings. I mean, he had his good days and bad days, but he had a stretch where he was pretty damn good. Walker led the team in wins, and Evaldi was their best pitcher. And Bello's already hurt.
Yeah. So I heard a GM, shouldn't say it this way. I heard a former GM on the radio, so you might know who I'm talking about. They were talking about the Red Sox. And they said, you know what it is? It's they like their young pitchers and their pitchers better than anybody else does. They're not listening to what the baseball world is saying. They like Whitlock. They like Bello. They like Houck. They like these guys, and they like them thinking they're going to be, the next guys that are going to take over. And the GM said, well, they're just not. They're not, they like them that well, but they're not that good. So I don't, I suppose you get caught in that sometimes, but I think it's interesting.
Well, first of all, I have no problem with Bello. I think, again, you're not going to go from 60 or 80 innings to 120 innings or 140 innings. Whitlock should be in the back end, if not your closer. Okay. I like what they got from Houck. They do have some young arms. Okay. But again, when you got to rely on Chris Sale, when you got to rely on James Paxton, he's not the big maple anymore. That's for sure. Okay. And there's too many.
Well, just don't call him little because he's 8 foot tall.
Yeah.
Hey, TJ, how you doing?
TJ, what's up, brother? Happy birthday, TJ. TJ's 32 years young today.
Hey, man, I am too. Can't you tell?
Scotty, we're going to come back on Thursday at 9:00. I want you to wrap this up with some closing thoughts. Maybe give them a heads up what you want to talk about on Thursday. Maybe a little WBC insight or, your reason why the Angels are going to shock the world. However you want to wrap this up, sir.
Well, here's kind of what I want to, and we'll go deeper maybe on Thursday then obviously because we're running out of time. But I think that the Angels are a team that has burned me probably 2 or 3 years in a row, and maybe not so much last year, but at least the last couple of years. And I think they're different this year. And have you seen Joe Adell this year, Jeff? By the way, I mean, you know who I'm talking about, I'm sure.
Listen,
he's a.
Let me just say something about Joe Adell. He is the greatest spring training player in the history of baseball.
I mean, have you seen his body compared to what it was last year? He is 20 pounds heavier, all muscle. I mean, when you look at him, he's just, oh my God. And then obviously the first game he goes out there and he hits a home run and whatever. He's not even scheduled to make this team. But that said, he's a great depth piece. And I think that when you think about a guy that's that highly touted of a prospect who's coming along and trying to figure it out and probably will eventually get there, it can't even get a chance to play on this team. That's how good they are. Now, having said that, they need some health to go their way, especially with the guy at third base. If the guy at third base can play, this team's going to win a lot of games. And here's the statement I'll make. And I'm trying to decide how I'm going to bet it because there's lots of different ways to bet it. So maybe by Thursday I'll have it figured out. But the guy at third base, if he plays reasonable enough games, he doesn't have to play every game, but reasonable enough games, they will have a better record than the Seattle Mariners.
I agree with that. I do agree. I think there's a handful of teams with that same scenario with one piece if they ever could stay healthy. And obviously, I think Anthony Rendon is the one piece in the whole damn majors. I mean, you have a healthy Rendon in between Shohei and Michael Trout. God, I mean, there's not who the hell wants to pitch to those three?
Well, think of this, Jeff. You've got Taylor Ward, who's going to be the leadoff guy, right? I mean, he's going to be their leadoff hitter, but he's projected to hit 21 home runs, batting average of 260. He's weighted runs created plus 126. Remember, we were talking about that with some of the other teams, like the Cubs, right? They didn't have hardly anybody. They had one guy up there, 126. Then the next guy in the lineup should be Mike Trout, right? So he bats second. Mike Trout bats second. Weighted runs created plus 157, 98 home runs, 105 runs, 42 home runs. And then Shohei Ohtani, and, weighted runs created plus 139, 35 home runs, whatever. And then Anthony Rendon. Now, they've got him playing 131 games. If he plays that many games, they're going to win, Jeff. Now, that would mean he misses 21 games, right? And they don't have him doing anything crazy. They got him hitting 18 home runs. That's it, 18. But he's batting 264, weighted runs created plus 120. I think that's reasonable for him. He might explode past that. But so he hasn't played for a while, and he's older. But the two guys that I think make this different is Hunter Renfroe. Hunter Renfroe makes this team different because he's the protection that those guys need that they didn't have before. Projected to have 31 home runs, 81 RBIs, a 120 weighted runs created plus, and Brandon Drury. People forget how Brandon Drury was the guy that played for the Diamondbacks that was halfway decent, and then kind of went away a lot, and then played for Toronto, didn't make it, played for the Mets, didn't make it, but last season caught on. And last season he played 138 games, hit 28 home runs with 87 RBIs, a rated runs created plus 123. If that guy plays like that with Renfroe, and you get whatever you can out of the guy at third base, Rendon, this team is really good. The difference is that the Astros have pitching, right? The Astros have pitching up and down, and the Angels really have a little bit of pitching. They don't have any bullpen. If you look at what they got, they don't have any bullpen. But their starters, you got Ohtani on the mound, and he's as good as anybody. And then Tyler Anderson, who pitched so good for the Dodgers last year, I'm not so sure he's going to do that again, but he's going to give you innings. And then you have Patrick Sandoval pitching in the third spot. And then you have Reed Detmers and Jose Suarez. And then they got youth kids coming up. So they just don't have any bullpen guys. So they can't really compete with the Astros, but I think they can beat the Mariners. And if they beat the Mariners, I think they got a shot to make the playoffs. And if you want to take that wager, I found it over at, where did I say that? DraftKings. To make the playoffs, the Angels are plus 175 at DraftKings right now.
Well, we're going to do a lot of talking on futures in the next couple weeks. I feel on Thursday we'll take we'll circle back on some more injuries if they occurred in the next few days. Obviously, again today, the two big injuries we talked about was Lux and Glasnow. Big blow to you. I don't like guys coming off injuries, and now you add a pitcher with an oblique issue. You're going to sit him down for the first month. Well, he'll be out for 2 to 4 weeks, and then you'll have the extended spring training, I assume. And then, he'll be back probably sometime in early to mid-April, God willing. He gets healthy there and no more hiccups. Again, Gavin Lux out for the year. Rojas at short. You talked about second base. Again, I talked to a Dodger guy today, and again, it's just next man up. Listen, okay, you only can plug the dam for so long, and I know you're deep in talent. I get all that. Don't get me wrong, but you're not throwing up Sandy Koufax and Kershaw in his prime. Your bullpen is, I don't want to say suspect. You got arms back there. You need a good bounce back from May as well. So there's a lot of holes, and there's a team out there called San Diego that's been waiting to do this, and I think they're loaded for bear. They just signed Manny to an 11-year extension, so they got everyone all locked and loaded now. But Soto, correct?
Yeah, Soto's not there yet.
And they'll get it. They'll get that one done. Trust me on that one. If they got to move Tatis, they'll move Tatis before they let Soto go.
I don't know what the deal is. Tatis is just polarizing figure. I mean, that when Tatis is right, he can be the best player in Major League Baseball. I mean, he's supposed to start April 20th, and he's projected to have as many home runs basically as anybody. What the hell? He's that kind of player. But at the same time that he's that kind of player, he's the same kind of guy that'll drive a motorcycle into a tree and then he can't be there and be relied upon and he can't help you win. So he's that kind of guy. So what do you want?
Gonna be interesting. He'll be
a Yankee. He'll be a New York Yankee.
Had a great show, a great following. Guys, if you have not, please run over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. It's free. Go over to Scotty at Webby20 MLB. Go check out all his content. Webby, tell them where they can find your stuff, will you?
Yeah, I'm all over the place. But ideally the website is MLB-daily.com is kind of where I run things through. On Twitter, a lot of my blog stuff shows up on Twitter. I try to post and repost a lot of updates on Twitter. You can go to my webpage and do two things. If you want the blog, it comes to your email. It's free. You just click a little thing and say, hey, okay, here's my email address. Every time you put something out, send it to me. And or if you like the content, you like what I'm talking about, I am going to sell plays this year, and it's only $49. So if you want to do that, you can do that too.
And come follow me at EC Sports Investor on Twitter if you haven't already, obviously, and Scotty at Webby20 MLB. We'll be back Thursday at 9 p.m. Myself and Scott talking more WBC, more injuries, some futures, some American and National League potential home run winners. Maybe we'll get into a little Cy Young action. You and I, especially me, love the win game. And by the way, you're hyping up this Angels, and you talked on prior shows about the number 3 slot, and you caught my eye with Mr. Sandoval. That guy made us a lot of money last year, and I think, he might be primed in that spot. Again, if he can stay healthy and then get to that 5th, 6th inning. The problem with backing any Angel starter in a win total thing is their back end so goddamn bad. Excuse my French, I'm sorry. You can never get a win from a starter on an Angel unless your name's Shohei.
Well, they have issues on the back end, and I'll throw another one out there to you, Jeff, if you like kind of a and they got to win, right? These teams have to win or it doesn't help you any. And I think Minnesota Twins are going to win some games, and they might give Cleveland everything they got in that division. Tyler Mahle, and I know he's a name people know. He went to Driveline. The guy is got right, and I think you're going to see a former number 1, number 2 Cincinnati Red pitcher pitching out of the 3-hole in Minnesota.
I thought you were going to go with Joe Ryan.
Well, Joe Ryan, you know what my fear with Joe Ryan is? He's that tall. That's my fear with Joe Ryan. He's that tall, and it doesn't mean that you can't win when you're that short, but it does mean that you have to almost be perfect, because if you're not, your stuff doesn't have the same whip as the guys that have the longer arms, and because of that, the spin isn't the same, the stuff doesn't move, and all that stuff. You get hit, and he has to be on almost exclusively every time he goes out there, and you just can't be. That's the only thing that bothers me about Joe Ryan. I like Joe Ryan. I don't like him in very good matchups. Like Tyler Mahle can go out there and throw the ball 95 miles an hour and has good stuff, and he's a big kid, so he can match up sometimes with the Cleveland pitchers that he's going to face. Joe Ryan goes out there, and if he's not on, he's going to get dominated. Now I say that, okay, well, you're not on. Well, just because you're not perfect every time doesn't mean you can't go out there and compete. And that's where the little guys have a smaller problem or a bigger problem. I like Joe Ryan though. I mean, think about Tim Lincecum. He was that big and he was great for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden he couldn't do shit. Well, it's because you're too little, man. Stuff happens and you just can't do it.
There's a lot of pitches like that. The gift that keeps on giving, trust me. For
Freddie
myself,
Protect's on the mound.
For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. We wish everyone a blessed evening. Have some fun. Myself and Scott will be back on Thursday at 9 p.m. Tomorrow, I will be on with Ron at Ace Sports talking Philadelphia Eagles. Riley will give everyone a closing bell. And then Thursday and Friday, we're locked and loaded morning, afternoon, and evening. So stay tuned. Any questions, comments, concerns, you know where to find us. Have a good evening, and we'll see you soon.